Donald Trump is having a disastrous landing back to Washington, D.C. after his G7 trip backfired. Republicans are turning against Donald Trump. Republican Senator Wicker, who chairs the Senate Armed Services Committee, put out a statement saying that what Donald Trump just did with Iran would make Iran's payoff under Obama's 2015 deal look like a pittance by comparison. And independent journalist David Schuster on Capitol Hill says the following: GOP operatives are saying that the Trump-Iran deal is so abhorrent in their view that some GOP senators are even talking of the Trump impeachment coming after Democrats take Congress in the midterms, and the expectation some GOP senators will support Trump's conviction and removal when given the chance. The GOP Senate anger at DJT is intense, perhaps more intense than it's ever been before. Now, here's what Donald Trump is posting in response while aboard Air Force One. These fools who think I haven't been tough enough on Iran when the stock market just hit a record high and oil prices are tumbling down are either jealous, bad people, or stupid. Make America great again, DJT. The arsonist wants us to applaud him when he puts out the fire and then creates other fires that are even bigger. That's the Trump regime in a nutshell for you. Donald Trump also posting the following while he's having this disastrous landing back to D.C. Oil is flowing. Iran can never have a nuclear weapon. The world will be safe. The stock markets are roaring, jobs are at records, and prices are dropping. Affordability. Our country is strong, safe, and respected like never before. You're welcome, DJT. The world is both horrified and laughing at the United States. Things are not more affordable right now. You've made the situation so much worse for Americans. You promised on day one you were going to bring down inflation. Now inflation is surging. Jobs are not at records. We had record jobs being created under former President Biden. We're in a jobs recession right now. Go and speak to real Americans about the jobs that are out there. And even when people have jobs, it ain't paying them the money for them to afford rent or to afford basic necessities at this point. While Donald Trump's aboard Air Force One, he's attacking California Governor Gavin Newsom. He goes, Newsom, and he cites this Just the News, this weird propaganda site. Newsom solicited $340 million from special interests for allies. Don't you like how the Trump regime all of a sudden, as part of their propaganda, they're like, you can't solicit money for your allies at all. That's unethical. Dude, you did 3,800 stock trades in the first quarter, hundreds of millions of dollars. You made billions of dollars in these quid pro quo deals. And your attack is to spread lies about California Governor Gavin Newsom? Then Donald Trump posts, Pope Leo commends U.S.-Iran peace deal. Yeah, he's the Pope. He wants there to be peace. He was against the warmongering and war crimes of you and Netanyahu, and he still is. But isn't it just so odd? I mean, Donald Trump needs validation so badly. And speaking about that, this is what he has his Interior Secretary posting through a rapid response account that they call the U.S. Interior Press. And so they show this photo right now of the reflecting pool, which is not what the reflecting pool looks like now. Do you want to see what the reflecting pool looks like right now after they put all of this hydrogen peroxide into the Ninja Turtle green sludge that has fully coated the reflecting pool? Right now, the blue paint is being destroyed on the bottom. So it's now, this is what it looks like. You have the green sludge and you have the paint falling off, because when you use hydrogen peroxide, yes, it takes off the paint. But this is what the Trump regime wants us to believe. The advanced nano bubbler technology very effectively killed the algae tragedy that has plagued every Lincoln reflecting pool reopening, most infamously Obama's reopening since 1922. The reflecting pool water is crystal clear, and our National Park Service team is now vacuuming up the dead algae, resting on the bottom of some parts of the reflecting pool, just like the destroyed Iranian Navy resting on the bottom of the Persian Gulf. I actually couldn't think of a better metaphor than the one the Trump regime just made. Just as they are lying that the Iranian Navy is all at the bottom of the Persian Gulf and they've obliterated Iran. No, you and Netanyahu lost the war, the catastrophic and unlawful war you began in Iran. Hence, you had to sign terms of surrender. The reflecting pool has not miraculously been cleared up of algae from a nano bubbler. Just because you use these words, nano bubbler, it doesn't make it true. We can see what's actually happening by observing for ourselves. This photo that we have was taken at the same time they posted this deranged thread. I don't think I need to read you much more of that deranged thread. Now, here is what Donald Trump is arriving back to in Washington, D.C., as Harry Enton of CNN describes that Donald Trump's approval is the worst in American history on issues like inflation and the economy. You don't get worse than this, unless you're Donald Trump, and it'll probably keep getting worse. The American people are livid. Play this clip.
The American people are going, what was the point of all of that? What was the point of all that? Because the American people hate it. And the way you can know that they hate it, just take a look. Trump's net approval ratings hits lows for Fox Poll, and this is Fox Polls. In May, he had his lowest ever rating at minus 22 points. You come into the poll that was released last night, the second lowest ever, 1 point better at minus 21 points, way underwater. And with independents, I know you love when I point out the independents, Johnny B, 55 points underwater. I mean, my goodness gracious, this was a political disaster. No wonder the president wants to move on from it.
He said he didn't want to be Herbert Hoover.
Yeah.
It may be that voters were already looking at him like that, in a manner of speaking. What about on inflation, which may be driving some of these numbers and directly related to the war with Iran?
Yeah, you know, you mentioned Herbert Hoover, the economy, right? That sunk his presidency. Inflation is what is sinking Donald Trump's presidency to all-time lows, at least according to Fox, because just take a look here. Look at Ipsos polling. Trump's net approval rating on inflation. Pre-Iran war, it was bad, right? It was 33 points underwater. But then look in the past month, the average, according to the Ipsos polling, look at that, 51 points underwater. There was no president ever before that had any poll in which he was 50 points underwater on inflation or worse. And the average of the Ipsos polling over the last month was 51 points underwater on inflation. The Iran war absolutely drove Trump to new lows on the issue that got him reelected in the first place, inflation.
While Donald Trump is arriving back to being the highest disapproval in modern presidential history, we know that the neocons, the war hawks, Netanyahu, they are working hard to try to destroy this Iran deal and get America back to war. Netanyahu is trying to influence the final Iran deal and try to destroy it by using right-wing media figures like Mark Levin and Ben Shapiro and others in order to pressure Donald Trump, according to CNN. The report says that Netanyahu told Trump that Israel does not consider itself bound by any agreement entered into the United States, and Israel will not be leaving Lebanon. In other words, Israel wants to draw America back into a war and wants to make sure that the American people have pain inflicted on them even more. And you see like the kind of neocon Netanyahu propagandists like Mark Levin posting, "Time for a change in strategy. We should consider slow walking the enemy, building up our munitions, our oil reserves, get the price of gasoline down, get through the midterms, then knock them out. Instead of rushing to a deal, building up their oil industry, transferring billions to them, etc." Oh, Mark Levin, did you just think about that yourself? You don't think that Iran knows that America really under Donald Trump can't be trusted with any of this stuff? That's going to be the plan. But Donald Trump also told us that we don't have any issues with our munitions and that everything was going great. So What do we even need to do here? Just lie after lie from this regime. Also, Donald Trump getting another rude awakening as his buddy Vladimir Putin suffered major strikes against Moscow, with Zelensky moving forward with what Zelensky calls our offensive long-range sanctions. Ukrainian drones, hundreds, not thousands, swarmed Moscow oil depots and infrastructure. Look at what Moscow looked like in the past 24 hours as Ukraine's drones entered deep into Moscow. And here's what Zelensky had to say. Let's play this clip.
Preparing our responses to such Russian attacks. And today you can see one of those responses in the Moscow region this morning. So our long-range sanctions are hitting Russian oil facilities, refineries very effectively. And Russia is already facing fuel shortages, and that federal budget revenues are falling significantly. And at the same time, our mid-range strikes are seriously disrupting Russian military logistics. But Putin is not stopping this war.
And in addition to Zelensky, we have other world leaders like Saudi Arabia's Foreign Minister Prince Faisal bin Farhan Al Saud saying, yeah, we're not really even sure what the hell this Trump deal is. We don't think it really makes sense for us to change the way the Persian Gulf was before this catastrophic war. So we're not really sure what Donald Trump did here. Let's play this clip.
For the sake of getting ships moving again.
So our position is very clear. The situation must return to the status quo before the war. There is no other option from our perspective. And if you read, and I have read more than my fair share now of analysis on what is allowed under international law and under the UN Convention for the Laws of the Sea, there is no real space for any mechanisms in the context of what the Iranians are talking about right now. And therefore, and more important than anything, the management of the strait was working fine before the conflict. There were no issues. Ships were navigating freely. There was no safety issue. There was no environmental issue. There were no issues. So why should we now, as a result of a conflict, accept some novel arrangement that is going to be imposed on it? That to me doesn't make sense. So I think we need to go back to the way it was, and that worked fine, and that should be the end of it.
Then you had Reza Pahlavi, Iranian who's here in the United States, who thought, I guess, that if there was regime change, that he was going to be getting the call to lead as a transitionary figure, or at least he thought he was told that by the Trump regime. Here's what he had to say. Let's play this clip right here.
Not sure if you've heard these comments from President Trump at the G7 today. He said, the current Iranian leadership are very rational people. They are nice to deal with. They are strong and smart people. They are not radicalized, and they are looking to help their country. Does that hurt to hear that?
Well, I'll wait for the next tweet, which might come in a few hours, because we have seen a pattern of contradictory messages coming out. So I'm not going to judge by every headline that is coming out.
And then J.D. Vance held a press conference moments ago where he was asked, so is the United States going to invade Cuba next? Here's what Vance said. Let's play it.
I have to ask Marco about Cuba. That's not... Look, our view, go ahead in a second, but let me just actually answer this guy's question. Fundamentally in Cuba, it is a system that hasn't worked. They can't make any money.
And then J.D. Vance, because of what thin skin he and Trump has, and the whole regime has to say, our nuclear deal was better than Obama's. Obama gave them billions of dollars of American money. We're not doing that. Obama allowed them to enrich. We don't allow. First off, Obama gave them far less money than you're giving them, number one. Number two, you are allowing them to enrich. Just read your stupid document, man. Read the document. Here, play this clip.
And where we're coming at it is, we already destroyed your nuclear program. And so if you promise and show verifiable pathways to not rebuild it, then we're willing to give you some sanctions relief and things like that. So it's a fundamentally different perspective. Now, there are all these substantive differences as well. The Obama nuclear deal allowed enrichment. Ours will not. The Obama deal allowed the accumulation of stockpiled weapons-grade material. Ours is actually leading to the destruction of that stockpile of enriched material. So there are many differences. The Obama deal gave them over $1 billion of American money. This deal gives them $0 of American money.
And then finally, you have J.D. Vance being asked, so what about Donald Trump saying, he was going to blame you for this deal? And J.D. Vance, he just jokes. He's a comedian. War and peace matters. That's when you want the commander-in-chief to just do lots of jokes to the public, because there's nothing more than an anxious, depressed, psychologically tortured public as a result of the consequences of this regime want than a comedian doing funny jokes about war and life and death and genocide and war crimes. Funny stuff, JD. Funny stuff. Here, play this clip.
And that's why the deal is set up in the way that it is. Go ahead.
President Trump said yesterday that he was going to blame you if the talks with Iran go sideways. Are you worried that he's going to make you the fall guy?
No, not at all. I think the president was joking, but as he often does. But no, I think, look, the entire team has worked very well on this, and we've got this thing to a very good place for the American people. Now, I have seen some progressive criticisms of me personally saying, what experience does the Vice President of the United States have with hostile, high-stakes negotiations? And I would point those progressive critics to the fact that just 2 days ago, I spent over an hour on The View. So I actually have great experience in very hostile negotiations, and I've used that. Look, Joy Behar is way tougher than the Iranians, and she and I are best friends now. So we're going to get to a good place here. We're going to get to a good place. We're already at a good place. It's just a question of whether we can really get the icing on the top of fundamentally transforming Iran's relationship with the world. Go ahead.
There you have it, folks. Let me know what you think. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 7 million subscribers. And thanks for watching, everybody.
Want to stay plugged in? Become a subscriber to our Substack at MeidasPlus.com. You'll get daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, ad-free episodes of our podcast, and more exclusive content only available at MeidasPlus.com.